Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another Koze Daily Brew. Today we're going to be talking about learning how to trust your intuition. I put up on the community page that I wanted to hear what you guys wanted to talk about, and this was one of the requests, and I thought that it would be a fun little thing to dive into because I definitely feel like lately I have been listening to my own intuitive, I guess thoughts, feelings, gut feelings, whatever they are. And so I thought it would just be a nice little topic for us to discuss since it's been a relevant thing in my own life. So I recently saw Toy Story 4. If you guys haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend. It's definitely not like the best Toy Story, but I think that they did a really good job for the fourth of any. You know how like the fourth of any type of long series of events is always kind of like, they did a good job with Toy Story 4. But one of the things that I loved, I love Buzz Lightyear, but just in general, Buzz Lightyear in the fourth one, this isn't gonna ruin anything, but he has this like whole thing throughout the movie where at the beginning, Woody tells him to listen to his inner voice. And so he hits that like button that Buzz Lightyear has, and like Buzz is a smart guy, but Buzz is like a little bit like, in Tarot the Fool card, I feel like that's Buzz Lightyear. I feel like he's a little bit like a fool, but in a good way. And so he like keeps hitting the button, and that little voice where it's like, reach for the sky or whatever. And he'll be like, oh, and he'll like look up to the sky, and then all of a sudden like he'll realize something and he'll be like, thanks, inner voice. And I was cracking up because I thought it was hysterical, but I also think that it is a very good lesson to learn, especially for the youngins. But even as a 25-year-old sitting there in Toy Story 4, I was like, wow, that is a really true fact. We really do need to take more stock and pay more attention to our inner voices. They really do guide us, and normally they're pretty right. They're pretty damn on par. So the whole Buzz Lightyear thing, and like I guess like the Fool card in Tarot, is all about, I guess, living life a little foolishly, but not in a way that's destructive. It's living foolishly in a way that like you might be on a tightrope, but you act as if you're not, or you don't see it, or maybe you really just truly don't even notice. You stop looking at all the ways that you might fail, and you start looking at all the things and the signs around you that are kind of pointing and guiding you along the way. And it can be a hard thing to do, and I don't think that it's maybe necessarily the mindset all the time to just, if you have a thought, just follow it and not even question it or sit with it. But I definitely think that a lot of the times when we have gut feelings, they are strong. Like, you don't get like a little fickle of a gut feeling. You get a gut feeling and it is demanding your attention. And I think that that is saying something, because a lot of the times I think our gut feelings come from our subconscious. It's just a matter of whether or not you trust your subconscious enough to be guiding you in the right way. AKA, do you trust like your inner dialogue? Do you trust your inner intentions enough to believe that your gut feelings aren't reactions to things, they're responses to things, and they're trying to get you to pay attention to things that you might be missing. I think that when we start listening to our instincts and our gut feelings, we almost have to kind of let go of our fear of failing and go at it with a little bit of a screw it attitude, in the sense of, this is an easy way that I find I can do this, is sometimes, life can feel very serious, and I'm not going to go as far as to say it isn't. There are big, serious things in this life that we do need to pay attention to. But I also think that when you zoom out enough from life, you really zoom out and you think about the fact that, I find that when I look at the sky, it helps. But even if you just go be by nature, go do something that makes you realize how small and insignificant we are as individuals and as humans, you realize that we really are just like this random life species on a rock in the middle of this universe, and we have no freaking earthly idea why. And I know that that's really cliche kind of, term that's been used a lot, but it helps you realize that when you do bring it back down to, okay, what's the right decision, what's the wrong decision, and whether or not you should trust your instincts, especially when your instincts are kind of screaming something at you that isn't going to be an easy thing to do. If your instincts are yelling at you, that your job isn't right for you, or that your partner isn't right for you, or that, there's some big area in your life that you're not paying attention to, that it's trying to get you to pay attention to, that can be daunting, that can be scary. And so when you zoom out and you think, oh, right, I'm just a human on this rock orbiting around a star in an infinite galaxy amongst infinite of other galaxies, it's just like, it makes you realize that if you do trust your instinct, a lot of the times if there is going to be some negative fallout from it, it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, like in the big grand scheme of things. But like I said earlier, I don't think that that is justification to just follow every single thought that you have. I know that there's times where I have a gut instinct, but then there's also times when I've mistaken, a fear or an anxiety or, some sort of mental reaction or some sort of like thing that pops up in my head as instinct, when really it was more of a reactive feeling or maybe a pattern that was repeating itself. There it is. So how do we make sure that we know the difference between our gut instincts and our, mindful reactions or mind reactions, is to basically take a mindful moment. Now, I find meditation really, really helps me with this, especially when I'm really trying to gather the wisdom, the self-wisdom within to know what I need to do about any given situation. If I can sit down and meditate on it, odds are I can find out whether or not it's just my emotions in the moment or my feelings in the moment, or if it's actually like a gut feeling or a gut instinct about something or someone. And a lot of the times when we sit and we actually give ourselves the time to hold a thought, to hold a feeling, and analyze it from every different angle, we're able to see what may be causing us to feel certain ways. And meditation really helps because I think that just taking that solo time to sit and think is really helpful, because you can, ask yourself, okay, well, why do I feel that way? And then you'll come up with an answer. And then you go, well, why do I feel that way? And then you come up with another answer. And you kind of keep following those whys until it goes to something deeper, until it isn't just about fixing something on the surface level. It's about really getting down deep to the root of a situation and being like, this is all deeply rooted from this one little thing. So this is where my gut instinct is coming from. And this is the area that I probably should focus my most attention on. I think it's also usually a pretty good indicator too, whenever I'm feeling a little cloudy about a situation or indecisive about a situation, that it isn't necessarily my gut. It's more so that I'm feeling a little bit, jumbly inside my head. And that happens quite a lot because I think that there's a lot of things going on in our lives. So it's hard to know for sure, without any question, that this is a gut feeling and I know that this is exactly what I need to do. Sometimes we do get those gut feelings, and if that's the case, I always just follow it, because that is rare that we ever do get those big impulsive instinctive okay, I know this for certain. But when we do get those little tiny tickles of instinct and tickles of gut feelings, I think that it's important to then sit down and really anchor it down to, okay, is this is it coming from this? Is it coming from that? And that really helps take the cloudiness away from your mind and helps you come to a decision that you've made peace with. Because a lot of the times decisions aren't so black and white. It usually stems somewhere in the gray area where making any kind of decision will come with some pros, but it's also going to come with some cons. So you're able to sit there and kind of weigh out those pros and cons and really ask yourself, what is the right choice, the right path, the right journey for me to take here? Our lives are super busy, so I think it gets really hard to take time sometimes to slow down our thoughts and to slow down our feelings and to slow down our analysis of our thoughts and our feelings, to give them some space to breathe, to give them some space to really marinate and to really tell us what they're trying to tell us all the time, And so I think that taking that time to slow down, it helps us stop being so reactive to life, something happens and you're and you just instinctively react right away, and sometimes that kind of instinct isn't always the best. Instead, you learn to take a second and breathe and then be I know the right path to take here, and then you respond to life. And when you respond rather than react to life, a lot of the times you can really get your hands in on the outcome that's going to come at the end of whatever it is that you're responding or reacting to. And lastly, when it comes to trusting your intuition, I think that it's super important to stop running away from ourselves. This is one of those topics that I thought we should talk about within the whole, intuition or instinct thing, because there was a time, I want to say, for a few months, and just throughout my life, there's been pockets of time where I feel I've really lost that touch and that sense of, having that gut feeling and having those intuitive feelings. And it's important to talk about because I think that it's super normal. And so if you are going through a phase right now where you feel like you've really lost touch with that deeper sense of yourself that does know, or you've lost touch with your instincts, your intuitive, whatever it is, I think that we are all actually way more deeply intuitive than we think. Again, life just gets so busy around us that we're kind of our focus is being pulled so many ways that it can get really easy to kind of lose that sense of touch. And so when it comes down to actually being open to your intuition and open to your gut feelings, that It can be an easy thing to kind of mute sometimes, or even unintentionally mute your intuition, because you're also trying to mute the things that you don't want to have to pay attention to. The uglier parts of our lives, the uglier parts of even just some of the sides of ourselves that we just don't want to have to deal with. And the only way that we're able to really open up that dialogue between ourselves and, I like to think of it as my higher self, but whatever you want to call it, I think that the only way to really do that is to face not only the light, but also the shadows. And that's not a fun thing to do. A lot of the times I think we run away, and I do it myself too, from uncomfortable feelings, you know, through keeping ourselves distracted by the ongoing list of things to do, keeping ourselves distracted by people, places, things, and outward validation, and just like constantly just like staying busy over here so we don't have to look at what's going on over here. But then that really does, I think anyways, cut off that communication between us and our souls, or our higher selves, again, whatever you want to call it. We basically try and distract ourselves so that we don't have to feel the feelings of potential loneliness or despair, or, you know, maybe there's something that you just don't want to face because you know it's going to come with a lot of complications, or it's going to take a lot of time to heal from it, or whatever it is. But there's something that I think is a really important mantra you can use if you're going through a phase of that yourself, or in any given time that you might be feeling that way, and it's wherever you are already home. And that is a really comforting thought and a comforting like anchor, because of the thought of you don't have to be anywhere in particular to feel instinctively in touch with yourself, because you're always with yourself. You are with yourself from the day you were born to the day you die, and all the seconds in between, which I recently found out, by the way, is 22,075,000 seconds. So for those 22,075,000 seconds, you're always with yourself, and you are always home. Even if you're feeling homesick, you're still home because you're always with yourself. So when you stop running away from yourself, and you stop running away from the feelings that you maybe don't want to feel, you really open yourself up. Even when it's uncomfortable, and even when you have to feel things you don't want to feel, you really open up that relationship with yourself again. It sounds really corny, I get that, but it's so important, because I think that when we run away from the feelings we don't want to feel, that means we also run away from the feelings that we do. And if you want to be in touch with your intuition, then you also have to be in touch with the sides of your intuition that might be, you know, a little hurt, or it might actually come with a little hurt, or it might be something that you have to learn to digest and a lesson you need to learn. Even if that means that you need to literally set aside some time to really go through something, to really process an emotion that's been bothering you, process some sort of, you know, thing that's been sitting in your back burner or in your blind spot that's been kind of asking for your attention. It's been, you know, piling up in the background. It's been causing you to react or have poor habits, or whatever it is. You know, a lot of the times I think that when we don't deal with something in a front forward kind of way, it takes a back door and it finds another way into our lives, and it kind of wreaks some havoc. And so if that means you really do need to set aside some time for yourself, then do it. Set aside some time. You got 22 million seconds. You can spare a few, you know, if it means that you're really going to take the time to properly allow yourself to kind of slowly ease open that door of discomfort of whatever's waiting for you on the other side, so that you can stop running away from it. Because I think that once you do that, you really do open up that connection. You really do not only, I guess, deal with whatever it is that you've been kind of pushing off into your blind spot, but you also realize that you are invincible in a lot of ways, and you are a lot stronger than you think you are, and a lot more intuitive than you think you are. It's just you have to be open to feeling the good and the bad in order to get there. We are all always a work in progress, and it takes more than just perseverance to push through our lives. It also takes patience and the humility of facing whatever it is on your plate. Don't be so afraid of whatever your subconscious is trying to tell you. Instead, just open up and let go to whatever it is that you need to face, and trust that when you get onto the other side, and when you do follow your instincts, and when you do trust your gut, you will be basically, at least I like to believe, following your life's path. You're following your purpose, your passion. Kind of like in if you guys have ever read The Alchemist, it's an amazing freaking book. But even just in that book, it's all about how, you know, following your life's purpose will always automatically lead you exactly to where you need to be. And so if you are feeling out of touch with your instinct or your intuition, or if you're just looking for the permission to follow a gut feeling that you're already having, let this be it, okay? Let this be your sign. Let this be your permission to sit with yourself, to really ask yourself how you're feeling, what you're going through, whatever it is, and to just open up that dialogue with yourself, because it is so important in order to, you know, really relish in your life and really feel connected within. There you guys have it. That is today's Koze Daily Brew. Let me know what you guys think, and if you are someone that already feels, I'm sure all of you have had that gut feeling before in your life, so let me know if you have down below, and if it's ever led you astray, or has it led you to, you know, something you felt like you were meant for. Just any kind of gut feeling or intuition or intuitive feeling story, give me your story down below, because I want to hear it. And aside from that, I will talk to all of you guys in the next Koze Daily Brew. Bye guys.